Nisambula Vinaka, Namaste, Noi Maori, and welcome back to another episode of Back in Time Season 6, 2019. In today's program, we take a closer look at the production of matches, the women's co-op in VCC, and the initiatives to reduce our drowning statistics. The invention of fire was arguably the most significant in human history. To open our program this week, we visit a factory in Nakasi in the year 1996 to see how matches are produced. Although we have evolved into more sophisticated methods, here we visit Pacific Manufacturers Limited to see how they did it.
Thousands of years ago, fire was one of the most precious commodities in the world. Really, the world owes a lot to the Greek titan Prometheus for stealing fire from the gods for the benefit of mankind. For the humble matchstick has become one of the most common household items in the world. About 2 million matches are produced from each mature tree. In Fiji, the tree of choice is the kaubula.
Now we have contractors who select the timber for us, bring the timber to the yard, and the first step that we do is to see whether it's suitable or not. Generally, a tree should be as straight as possible, but Mother Nature never conforms to that specification, so we do have problems with knots and so on.
When they arrive at the factory, they're cut into lengths of half a meter or so called billets before they are fed into the factory's automated machinery. First, the logs are stripped of their bark, a process called debarking by being spun at high speed against a fixed blade. These sheets of match veneer are then stacked and fed through a chopper, a kind of guillotine which cuts them into matchstick length.
So if you touch these flints, you'll find that they're still wet because the timber is fresh, and they're also uneven. They've got bristles on them, and they're not chemically treated.
The chemical treatment spoken of here is actually an ammonium phosphate solution. From the chopper, the springs take a ride along a conveyor belt to a bath containing this special liquid.
After being dipped in the chemical bath, it then moves on to a dryer where it is dried so that all the moisture is extracted. It goes into a polishing machine which polishes then takes off the bristles and makes it smooth. And then there's a last machine which rejects the splints that are not up to the specifications. And then you find that you end up with dried, clean, polished splints. That's stage one of the matchmaking process. These splints are then fed through pneumatic lines where it enters into what is known as an automatic machine.
Meanwhile, in another part of the factory, the matchboxes and sleeves are being prepared. The cardboard sheets are imported from New Zealand and printed locally by Oceania printers. At the other end of the factory, meanwhile, the fully automated process begins with millions of splints being punched into millions of special holes on an endless steel conveyor belt. Rank upon rank of as yet headless matchsticks move relentlessly forward. It sounds somewhat like a process of medieval torture, as first they go through a bath of paraffin wax to ensure the matchstick burns evenly, and then they're dipped into another chemical solution that forms the head. From here, the conveyor belt transports the matchsticks on a 1-hour circus, if you like, ensuring they're fully treated and completely dry before they're fed into their ready boxes.
Now at this stage you've got a completed outer box, a completed inner box, you've got the sticks and they've been dipped. We don't count it because we have an Now this is really interesting because a lot of people ask me and say maybe you are counting it and doing it by hand. That used to happen about maybe 100 years ago, but we have now got an automatic machine which fills it automatically once it is set to certain levels, and once we set the filling level the machine fills in automatically. Now this is almost a complete box of matches, but there's something missing, and that is that you can't ignite the stick on any surface. So we have to put on a surface like this, which consists of manganese dioxide and various other chemicals, which is known as a friction surface.
A friction surface coated onto the sides of the matchbox is done simply by passing the box through two rollers, one on each side, which come into contact with the sides. The boxes then pass through a heat tunnel, which dries the freshly coated sides electrically. The completed product comes out at the other end of the tunnel, your ordinary safety matches in a box.
Now once it ignites here, you will find that there's something like water running on the stick. That is the paraffin wax which has been dipped into the stick, so that it serves as a medium to transfer the flame from the head onto the stick of wood. And if I blow this match out, you will find that there is no afterglow and that the head doesn't fall off either. This is because it has been chemically treated with monoammonium phosphate. We see the Western movies where the cowboy flicks a match on his boot and then lights a cigarette. No, that's not a safety match. A safety match is defined as a match which will ignite only on a pre-treated surface. So this is known as a pre-treated surface, and therefore it will ignite like this. But the same match, if stuck anywhere else, will not ignite.
Pacific manufacturers exports to other countries in the Pacific and to Australia and New Zealand as well. So there you have it, your ordinary box of matches. As mentioned, altogether, one tree produces about 2 million matchsticks. That's about 41,000 of these boxes for every tree. These aren't exactly matches made in heaven, but where on earth would we be without safety matches?
Welcome back. In this segment, we travel to Visese village in Vunda between Lautoka and Nadi. It was in 1970 when a group of 34 women gathered in one of the houses and decided to establish the Visese Women's Cooperative. In 1999, the cooperative had grown to 131 members. From a humble corner store into a $128,000 complex, including a bakery. We find out the truth behind its success and speak with the people who sacrificed to make it happen.
Diversification is an important decision for any business if it is to survive the harsh realities of the business world. At Visese, the Women's Cooperative have taken this into consideration. Starting out as a retail corner store, the co-op is on its way to becoming a model for others. The group operated from numerous places in the village and in 1994 decided that it was time they had their own permanent facility, with provisions for a bakery, boutique, coffee shop and a handicraft center. They were forced to move into their partially completed complex in 1996, after Cyclone Gavin blew down the small shed they operated from. The new complex was funded through a $60,000 bank loan, with members contributing $36,000. Government, under its Rural Development Financial Assistance Scheme, granted a further $32,000 towards the project. Since moving to the complex, sales have increased, especially after the inclusion of a bakery shop in 1997.
Let me just mention to you the success story right now, that we have seen a tremendous, the sales have increased in twofold. Like in 1995, the business here used to achieve only $110,000. In 1999, last year, they have achieved a tremendous amount of $158,000. And in this year, we are in this meeting, the last 3 months, we are looking at that in the financial year this year, there'll be well over $250,000. We have bought another new van. It cost us about $28,000 to deliver bread. That is up to the interior of Rasa. Now we've gone to Soras Nawaka in Nandi and Nandi town and covering the Sembeto area. And that is why because the bread with the present hour that we have, we cannot cater with the demand that we are having at the moment.
There are plans to expand the bakery within the next few months. Under the leadership of Lady Meriwale Sitavaingia, the VCC Women's Cooperative is not just about helping their members.
This this particular project aimed at the macro enterprise center for women. The idea behind this project is to employ unemployed women in the villages and school leavers. As you can know that they are very hard to get employment in town, in the neighboring town of Nandi and Lotoka.
The concept under which the VCC Co-op operates is not only the first for Fiji, but also for other Pacific regional countries. With 2 of the 5 activities that were planned already in place, the next few months will see the construction of a coffee bar, boutique, and a handicraft center.
You can see Sylvia on the lawn outside here. We already engaged a horticulturalist to put trees around the lawn because from our study we found out that the tourists would like to have their juice and coffee outside in the sun and not with umbrella but with trees. And that we'll be using that lawn outside as you can see, so that they can be close to where we're going to relocate the handicraft centers for the ladies in VCC. And maybe you said it in the project documents that I prepared for the project, that we will be needing the specialists from USP Extension Center. We already had to work with them for them to come and teach these people, the ladies of VCC, how to present a better quality handicrafts for our tourists.
An entrepreneur will be given the opportunity to run the boutique operation on a commission basis. He or she will also teach the women how things are done on a commercial basis before the co-op takes over the operation. The cooperative is also in the process of engaging an architect to redesign and relay the interior of the whole building for a more professional presentation.
Good evening. Swimming is an activity that is taken for granted, especially in a nation surrounded by water. There is the misconception that because we are islanders, we are natural-born swimmers. But we know too well that this is far from the truth. We're only too aware of the number of lives lost to drowning each year. We return now to the year 1999 and we take a look at what some groups are committed to doing to reduce our drowning toll.
In recent months, our newspapers have been dominated by reports of drowning. In 1997, for the months of January through to April, 32 people drowned. For the same period last year, there were 20 fatalities. So far this year, 30 people have drowned. And this number will increase unless people become more vigilant. Many of the victims lacked basic swimming skills and knowledge. Sadly, in the midst of all this, children make up a disproportionate number of drowning victims. A major contributing factor to this tragedy is the lack of supervision and carelessness on the part of adults during outings. 13-year-old Dashika Prakash, the second in a family of 3 from McCoy, drowned at the beginning of this year in the Langere River.
Go near the river to catch the prawns. And suddenly this thing happened. तब ज्वार उतरा रहा जी, वहाँ पे रहता रहा। जब उधर से हम लोग उठता है तो हम लोग तब ज्वार चढ़ने लगा जी। ज्वार चढ़ने लगा तब पानी फुल जस्ती हो गया तो गहरा में चली तो हम दौड़ा तो class too late. Now she don't know how to swim.
A few primary schools, namely the Learning Centre, the Suva Community Christian School, the International Primary Schools of Suva and Nandi, in conjunction with the Sports Council, have been organising swimming competitions for primary level children to encourage swimming in schools.
We've had a lot of drowning in the country lately, and it seems that at this time we really need to plug swimming. And what we're trying to encourage is for principals to take on a program of swimming. Swimming doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a swimming pool. There are some swimming knowledge, water skills, which are vital for children to have in regards to water.
Fiji Red Cross has been running swimming classes for all age groups. And now that schools are on a break, Suva's Olympic pool is a hive of activity.
What Red Cross is trying to do, we are trying to conduct as many swimming or as much swimming classes as possible. But in Suva it's okay, but places like Western Division, we hardly get any pools there. Once we get a pool, just like recently we had some swimming in Northern Club, we try to organize swimming classes in that. But our major setback is that we don't have any pools in the Western. But for like Lambasa, we have swimming classes there, but sometimes the response is not good.
Hold on to this, I'm going to throw this in the water.
Swimming instructors from the Red Cross are trained lifesavers. Here's Freddie and Simone demonstrating for us how to save a drowning victim.
Two major situations which will come here. One is that the person will be still alive, that means that's active drowning, and the other will be the person will be unconscious, the person won't be responding to whatever you are doing. So in those kind of situations, whoever goes and rescues that person should be very careful. If the person is alive, that means if the person is active and you go near that person, what might happen is that the person might come and just grab you. The person who's drowning will grab whatever comes in front of him. So you must be very careful in that kind of situation.
The importance of knowing how to swim cannot be overstated, given the fact that we're surrounded on all sides by the sea.
The amount of money, manpower, resources we have spent in trying to locate has been enormous. We firmly believe that these incidents could have been easily avoided or prevented if the family members, especially the parents and elders, had taken greater care in placing strict supervision on their children. We once again remind them that the tragic deaths, we know what it brings to a family. If they avoid that by educating their children, by placing greater supervision on their children. Even good swimmers have drowned if they don't have good knowledge of the area, because some places are even dangerous for swimming and going for picnic.
Supervising the children means the parents are staying in the water with the children. It's not that the father or the mother is sitting on the river bank drinking grog or whatever and the child is swimming. That's not supervision. Supervision means you are actively involved with the children in the water. That means you are swimming with the children in the water. So that's very important for parents who are taking children for swimming classes. Please stay with them.
And that is all for this week. I hope you enjoyed the program, and you can get a copy from the Department of Information, Government Building, Suva for only $20. Stay safe and join us again same time next week as we dig more into the chronicles of history.